What's up, people? Welcome back to the WrestleManiac UK show. Myself, Mex, the WrestleManiac, if you will. And we're back again with another podcast. Thank you guys for joining here on youtube.com/WrestleManiac UK. And of course, you can get this podcast on your audio platform of choice as well, WrestleManiac UK on all audio platforms. We've got a few things to discuss today as the new week of wrestling begins. We're talking about that dysfunctional family, the Bloodline, and then rushing back to be functional again, all in time for War Games. We will talk about the Hurt Business, who have set up shop in a new company, and we'll see how their kind of early days have been. And we are also going to get to all your comments, Q&As, all of that kind of stuff later on in the show. So if you're watching live, make sure you fill up the comments box with all your questions and what you want to talk about. Before we get into the first topic, I'm with my co-host here, Graps with Gabe. What are you saying, bro?
Hello. It's been a while, man. It's been a while since we've seen each other, hasn't it?
It has. Life has been doing its thing. But of course, when there's a will, there's a way.
Exactly. Nah, man, it's good to chop it up, man. It's good to chop it up as always.
Yeah. Appreciate you joining. What have you thought of things in general over the past week or so as we kind of get into some of the stuff we're going to talk about today?
It seems like a pretty decent time in wrestling right now. We've got some good stuff going on. We've got some mid stuff going on right now. I feel like we're kind of in that end of the year phase where it feels like we're ending things / picking things up in certain gears. Like this feels relatively like where we'd be at this point in time anyway. So to be honest with you, I'm kind of like it's good. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. What are you thinking right now about everything?
Yeah, I'm probably with you. We're just kind of waiting for the hype train, which is Royal Rumble and going into WrestleMania and stuff like that. And we're just kind of seeing how that goes. And even for AEW, on the AEW side of things, it feels like Revolution is their big pay-per-view. So it's like, or one of the ones that people look forward to the most, at least. So obviously we're doing everything right now. We've got a couple more AEW pay-per-views to get through before we get to those next year. So now next year is a big year. Either way you look at it, any way you want to slice it. It's just kind of
next year for both. WWE on Netflix, AEW on, is it Max? Am I getting it correct?
HBO Max, yeah.
HBO Max, that's the one, yeah. So yeah, man, wrestling is going to be way more accessible for everybody. Yeah, man. I can't lie. This is like, for me, why maybe I thought this side of the year, I kind of thought we'd get a bit more, because I thought like, here's where you're building up the amp and the suspense for like when they now join to streaming platforms. This is for WWE and AEW both. I mean, I guess like they're just moving in their normal kind of peaks and troughs as they would, which is fine. But I feel like for me, if you're getting ready to jump on some pretty big platforms, like, I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen no like marketing content from like Netflix yet about WWE coming soon or anything like that. Like, we've not really seen much about it. Do you know what I mean?
All right, that's funny you say that. Just to touch on this quickly. So obviously WWE were down in London. When was it? Last week. They done some shows in London, Nottingham, I think somewhere else in the UK. So we went down to do the press junket, and the press junket was put together by like WWE Netflix PR, right?
Okay.
If you go on social media now, you see anyone's footage from who was at the press junket last Monday, all of it, like the backdrops are all WWE and Netflix logos, right?
Yeah.
So in that sense, yes. So in that sense, they are promoting it, right? But then the Netflix PR people were saying, please do not put out any of the content you're filming today until the new year, basically. When
so like they're giving you the embargo, basically.
Okay, yes, that's a great word to use. However, is that promotion then? Because it goes live in the new year.
This is
So
what I
are we
mean.
not
Yeah,
promoting the fact? And every WWE superstar was like pushing into their answers. Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and especially when we go live on Netflix, we're going live on Netflix. They were letting the whole world
they're
know
gonna
in
be
every
live.
interview we're going live on
A
Netflix.
live
So it's
file.
like, yeah, it's like, so we should be promoting this now. And
Yeah.
as it were, I think some people have started putting out their content and just didn't listen to Netflix
Oh,
at
really?
all. But yeah, I think it's very weird why they wanted people to wait till then anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm just thinking in my head, like, it's a very big investment they've made as well. Like, this is $1 billion deal. I feel like, considering the long history of WWE, considering how popular Netflix is now, there would have kind of been some, there would have been a bigger kind of like guerrilla marketing tactic behind all of this. I don't know. That's just me. Personally, I feel like it should have felt way more like we are getting this massive deal happening, and it should be everywhere. It should be shouted from the rooftops, in my opinion. But to me, it very much feels like if you're in the group of being a wrestling fan, then you would know this is happening. I don't think many people outside of the wrestling bubble really know this is happening because it's not spoken about much.
yeah, I'm telling obviously a lot of people that are casual viewers and have an interest in what I do that this is happening and this is how you can keep
Mm.
up with it now, sort of thing. And they're looking forward to it
Yeah.
100%. I've got a text from my cousin that came with me to WrestleMania this past year, who's been a lifelong fan, but obviously there's just a lot to keep up with these days. And he found that he saw it on like social media or something. He said everything's gonna be on Netflix, even WrestleMania. I said even WrestleMania, bro. He said
Yeah.
sensational. So yeah, the people they're taking their time to get to the news, I guess. Like you said, maybe they're being
Yeah.
slow with promoting it, but hey, it's one of them things. If you know sort of thing. So we'll go from there. But I guess talking about wrestling shows, that leads us on to, I guess, our opening main discussion that we wanted to have today. So there's no way to slice it. Mercedes Monet loves a conversation. She loves speaking on behalf of the women. She loves speaking on behalf of AEW, and we love her for it. Mercedes Monet wants to drive forward a weekly women's TV show. So she was on the Battlegrounds podcast maybe about a week ago or so now, where she went on to say that they should have a women's TV show, that they're capable, they have got the talents to be having a weekly women's TV show, citing the women's roster names such as Willow Nightingale, Mariah May, Toni Storm, Serena Deeb. Who else did she mention? Chris Statlander, Camille. She mentioned all of these names and said, there's no reason as to why that we couldn't be having one. Her exact quote was, a weekly show for sure. We've got the female wrestlers, so why not? And she said they've got the best women's professional wrestling division also. Now, firstly, before we get into her performance and other stuff that was said in that particular podcast, what's your initial thoughts on AEW as a company having a women's weekly wrestling show?
Put that in the bin.
Wow.
There you go. Sorry to I'm not even going to waste no time with this one. We're never going to bear no bones about this one. Okay, let's put it like this, right? I understand her sentiment. I completely understand what she's trying to do here. However, this is a company that, let's just be very frank here, we've all been very critical of their booking decisions, not just for women, by the way, across the whole board. We have been very critical of their booking decisions this year because AEW as a product has not felt the same as what it was years ago. Now, if I talk about the women's division, me and you have spoken about this. We've obviously said that, the Toni Storm and the Mariah May storyline was probably one of the best things kind of like throughout the summer. Why is no one talking about anything going on since then? My thing on this is this, right? It's quite clear to a lot of us that like the women's division is not as much of a priority as it used to be when it comes to booking. To me, it comes across very much like it's touch and go. It's very much, let's just put this person in this title match and blah, 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 blah. For me, like Mariah May, as a women's world champion, what has really changed for you in terms of the presentation and the appeal for Mariah May since she's become AEW women's world champion? Has anything changed for you personally?
For me personally,
Yeah, for you personally.
what has changed? Nothing. Obviously, it has lost a bit of its shine, sort of thing. I to be honest, I could see from a mile away where at least they should go with this. And I think what they have been planning to do, / what they should do, / what they're going to do, is they've been obviously making a big deal that Mina Shirakawa is joining AEW soon, or she's coming soon, or something like that. So obviously Mina and Mariah May has previous from Stardom. We saw their relationship play out a bit on AEW TV during the whole Toni Storm saga anyway. I believe that Mariah May is going to get into a program with Mina. She's going to do maybe something really dastardly, something really mean to Mina.
Yeah.
And that is going to bring back Toni Storm, because we haven't seen Toni Storm since she lost. Toni Storm, I think, will beat Mariah May for the championship, because they have an Australia show at some point next year, don't they?
Yeah. It's Grand Slam, I think, yeah.
Okay, so well, to be fair, that's far off. Okay, but yeah, I think that's maybe what they're planning, something along those lines. Whatever she does to Mina will bring back Toni, and ultimately that will be the story. Now she's going through a story right now with Anna Jay. Anna Jay beat her. She's just beaten Anna Jay on Collision for the title. Anna Jay's now put up, the stakes in terms of I'll face you in a no DQ match, which is kind of Anna Jay's specialty. And if I don't win, that's it. You'll never see me again as long as you're a champion, one of them ones. So this is her kind of first story, really. And now I saw a promo she cut saying that, I am the women's division. I'm not part of this division. Like there isn't a lot of stuff here. It has dropped off since Toni was champion.
So for me, right, and shout out to Lino. Lino just put this comment in the chat, right? He just said, but do the people at the top of AEW care enough to have a weekly women's show? Yeah. Now, bear in mind, the AEW weekly show has only probably just started improving very slightly in recent times. Do you really think they have the capacity to book a whole other show where it's solely focused on women? And by the way, yeah, before I get grilled by anybody on here, I always have been a fan of women's wrestling. I am a fan of women's wrestling. I'm simply going off what we've been presented. They do not have the capacity for this, big man. They do not have this. I'm so sorry, yeah, but again, Mercedes was mentioning all these names that have been very prominent. But for me, if you're running a weekly women's television show, you are going to need to go beyond 6 people. What are you going to do? You're going to have the same 6 people just going back and forth and around robin every single week and hope that that's sustainable enough for programming. It's not. And the reality is that for me personally, it doesn't seem like AEW have had the same investment in their women's division that they did years ago. So for me, having a women's weekly television show, if anything, is just going to expose the poor thinking that has gone behind this division even more, because now it's going to be incredibly isolated. There's not going to be anything else going on in the show around it. It's just going to be the women just doing what they do. And it's going to show a lot of potholes in how the women's division has been booked. So for me personally, if they're going to go do that, it's just going to increase the already kind of big critique that's already going on about the division. It's not going to improve it in any way, shape, or form. And for me as well, I feel like when it comes to wrestling, it's good to add things to your brand and your product based on demand. I don't personally hear many people asking for a women's TV show, right? And at the end of the day, a lot of things that has happened when it comes to the women's revolution in all of wrestling kind of was in response to demand. I mean, when you think of the women's revolution in WWE, they said, Stephanie McMahon went out there and said, we are seeing a rise in women and how they are being presented in sports. We need to move with the times. As far as I'm concerned, they moved with the times, and then they kind of demonstrated through what they were doing that they were capable of giving women the main event, because we've put the booking and we've put the investment in them enough that if you tune into the main event tonight, you are going to love what you're going to see. And at the end of the day, I've not felt that from AEW most of the latter part of this year. So for me, if they set up a weekly show, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have Monet and Camille dance for 2 hours. I'm sorry, I don't know. I don't know, innit? Like,
Well,
I don't know if
let
I'm
me
being super or something, but
let me jump in there because I think, like you said, it was Monet that said this. She believes, and there's plenty of quotables out there that, you know, she believes she is the driving force of like women's wrestling worldwide. She is the face of it. That, you know, this is it. She wants to be the person that provides this change, right? And I think just to look at Monet's run herself, she won the TBS championship fairly quick into her AEW tenure earlier this year. She's soon approaching, I think she's about to go past Statlander in terms of amount of days as champion, 175 or something like that. Obviously still way off Jade Cargill, who has the record, I believe. But if we look at Mercedes Reign, again, let's be honest, like, has there been any like real feud? This one she's having with Statlander is like a first real feud here. And not every defense needs to be a feud. I'm not saying that, but like, you know, you, as you are saying, are meant to be the top dog here. Now, at the same time, that could be on purpose, not to make her eclipse any of the women, sort of thing. You know, make her seem bigger than the women's title, so they might have to put her on the back burner a bit. But
yeah,
even within the Statlander and Mercedes stuff, it's Statlander and Camille I've personally cared a bit more about.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I just don't feel like it's been really title at the center of these things. And of course, a women's show would have to put, you know, they still got the two titles, the TBS, and they've got the world title, but they would have to, the champions would have to have a real focus on those shows so that people tune in for those shows, especially. So yeah, I think we have to look at her. She's the one talking, but she's the best example to show that this may not be the best of ideas, sort of thing. I know you're excited. I know you want the change. I know you want to get to a point where maybe, like you rightly said, there should be demand for it before you put a product out there. But we're not here yet. We are definitely not here yet.
I feel like as well, and again, I know, like, I don't want to go into the habitual thing of like, we're going to do WWE versus AEW here, but I just want to take a thing and just kind of look at NXT, for example. So when we look at like how NXT have been booking their women's division, and it's been fantastic in the last few months, we've seen such a consideration for the women in NXT. Like, again, we look back at last week's NXT, we had Jada Parker and Lola Vice in a hardcore match, right? And again, this match didn't feel like it was just kind of put on the middle of a random show. It felt like there was a genuine build to this match. We felt invested in the Jada Parker and the Lola Vice situation. Then we main evented with a 10-woman tag, and again, this match was the main event, and everyone was looking forward to this because it felt like a Super Bowl to me. Like, it felt like one of them throw all the big ones in one situation and let's just see what happens. And it was a good match as well. But again, like, that has been the way to present something. And to the point now, if someone said, hey, NXT could do an all-women's PLE, I'm not saying, by the way, that NXT are there, but I'm saying if they brought that up, the conversation is probably much more likely to have a bit more of a debate. And bear in mind, that's a pay-per-view. Mercedes Moné is asking for a weekly show. A weekly show. Brother, there are HBO shows, there are Netflix shows, there are Prime shows that struggle to keep people invested for more than a week. What makes you think, with no offense here, with like very poor consideration for the women's division in AEW, what makes you think that that's going to be sustainable? And again, the problem is that if you set yourself up for failure, all it's going to do is ignite the conversation that, again, AEW have not put much focus into their booking of their women's division. Now, for me personally, if I'm AEW, what I would do is, again, pull back for a second and say to yourself, what are we doing that we can be improving upon? And when you improve upon these things, you then look and see, right, cool, is there the demand for this? Is there a demand for that? That's why they brought in a second show. Everyone loved AEW Dynamite and went, you know what? We would love it if we got more. And then boom, they got Rampage. Then they brought in Collision. I don't know why they brought in 3 shows, but again, that's a whole different conversation again. My point being that, again, you respond to demand. And again, the demand does not come if you do not give people a reason to feel invested in what's particularly going on. And again, we're talking about a niche here. We're not talking about the whole product in terms of men's division, women's division, tag division, or anything like that. Also, as well, if you're doing a weekly show, you're probably gonna need things like, again, factions, tag teams. I don't see many of them in AEW right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's like a women's tag team or division or anything like that. I would say like an official one. And then at that, you're then going to make some. And again, it needs to feel natural. It needs to feel organic. But again, if you're booking your division around quite a few just household names, there's not much chance for the others to kind of find their way forward and bloom. And it feels, again, like it's a natural process. So Mercedes, I'm very sorry, man. You better just hold on to the idea for a few more years, man, because I don't think it's happening next week, my friends.
It's a lot. At best, if it's gonna happen to start off with, it'll probably be a 1-hour show. How much can you really achieve in a 1 time? You know, as America does, they'll stick all their adverts in it. That 1-hour show is now a show, and now you're gonna squeeze 4 matches in there. The women are gonna be having like 5-minute matches or something, segments as well. Like,
exactly.
It's an idea, not yet, I think, is the general consensus. We're just going to come back to Mercedes Moné in just a second, just to go through up the super chatters.
I was actually going to say to bring up the super chat.
He says, an all-women's pay-per-view with their partner promotions. Now, that's an idea. That's a better idea.
You see, I like that.
Mercedes also did mention that on the podcast, you know, that they can be doing at least a women's pay-per-view. That makes sense. That's a stepping stone that tests out demand, as opposed to anything else.
Can I ask one real quick question for you? Yeah, let's say we're doing all women's pay-per-view partner promotions. Yeah, so we're saying WWE, AEW, Stardom, right? I just want to know, for you, what would be your main event for that show?
Like all women's divisions and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, Stardom, like all of them in one place. What would be the main event for you?
Okay, and I'm answering this purely on like drawability. It's 2 things that we have seen before. Okay. You're either going to get, from me, a Becky versus a Charlotte, or you're getting a Bianca versus a Sasha Banks, a Mercedes Moné. And like I said, that is the top of the card. That is the main event. That is what's going to hook people, bring them back, and okay, we're going to run this again, sort of thing. I'm not going to say anything, some indie-rific answer here that, yeah, it'll be a great match, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do numbers. Like, so I would love a women's all show. I want a women's all pay-per-view, but we have to put the heavy hitters out there first before we start putting, I don't want to say a name, but before we start putting anyone else on the cards, sort of thing.
I hear it. No, I'm with you. I can't lie. For me, it'd probably be the same as well. Again, I'm not going to try and act like I'm an indie darling, because I'm not. But I just wanted to hear, just kind of like, what would your thoughts be if there was going to be a main event? But I can't lie. I would so be there for a partnership like that. And again, it would be so fruitful for women's wrestling in general, because that's one of them scenarios. I wouldn't be walking into it like, you know, which promotion had the more time for women's wrestling, or which matches got more, whatever. Like, that's just one of those ones where you got to say, yo, everyone who's in this, like, has benefited for the greater good. You know what I mean? So who knows, man? Lino, man, let's keep our fingers crossed, bro. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Just to wrap up on this, Mercedes Moné was also asked about her run so far. The transcript is from Fightful. She said, I mean, my first, 7 months? It's been amazing. Look at these titles. She's referring to her TBS title and the New Japan Strong Women's title. She said, each title has its own locker. It's amazing. It's been the best so far, the best so far I felt in my career. Having these matches an opportunity, and just the chance to keep on growing and going, and having these dreams and living old dreams. So she's having a good time in AEW.
It's nice, man. It's nice she's having a good time. It's nice, man.
Yeah. I want loads for her. Like, she's up there. I don't think she's doing anywhere near her best work right now, and she's still all the way up there for me. But yeah, I want more for her. I want more for her.
100%, man. Listen, man. Like, shout out to big bro Sam Blacks, right? Sam said that she is the greatest black woman in the world, and she is an S, right? But I just want to feel like what I'm watching and what I'm hearing are matching, because for me, like, I feel like maybe if she's saying in terms of like her creative freedom, maybe, and those kinds of things, maybe that's where we're seeing the best. But for me, it's like it's just not replicating in the way that it should. I mean, I would say probably what the biggest, I'd say, match that she's kind of had since she's been in AEW is against Britt Baker. How much talkability has come from that match since the match happened?
None. They pretended like it never happened.
That's what I'm trying to say. They've literally swept it under the rug. Like, for me, man, I don't know. I just want it to feel like Mercedes Moné is actually a big deal. To me, it still doesn't feel like AEW have presented her like a big deal. Like, when they gave her a show which was called Big Business, and they were showing it's in her hometown and it's boss and all these different kinds of things, like, for me, that shows me, if I'm a casual fan, if I'm a committed fan, or whatever it is, that shows me, well, whoever's showing up here, they must be big. They must be a big deal. But I feel like what we've gotten since then, it just doesn't really replicate that for me. So for me, like, I want Mercedes Moné to, like, what she says is what we're getting. But for me, I kind of feel like it's a lot of the talk is compensating for what's not being shown on TV.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, the closest comparison in terms of the rollout of herself is CM Punk, probably. And obviously we saw CM Punk was a massive draw for the company, numbers, money he made for them, in every show, all the segments and all of that kind of stuff, multiple segments a night. Maybe this is Mercedes being a bit more giving, maybe being like, I want to come here for name value to raise up everyone else, whereas CM Punk comes on a mission for himself. You never know with these things. I would say the overall women's division has improved. However, the bar was very low. The bar was in hell, so anything rising up from there is a positive. So yeah, in general, we need to keep going and need to keep improving the business of the women's division and the business that maybe Mercedes Moné can do for them. But talking about business, we have another AEW faction that have now kind of made their debut over the past few weeks. I am talking about the Hurt Syndicate, formerly known as the Hurt Business. For me, it's been brilliant to get these guys back on TV all together, looking the part, looking even sharper than they probably did in WWE, to be completely honest. And I just love, like, I think MVP is doing some great work. Again, better work than he did with these guys in WWE, in my opinion. It is still early days. I think Shelton Benjamin has looked like an absolute boss.
Shelton Benjamin in the space of 3 weeks has looked incredible.
Bro,
the match with Leo Rush, phenomenal. Bro, Shelton Benjamin, this man is 53. And he is wrestling like, bro, I've just been doing this for a few years. And I got a few cuts and scrapes, but I'm good. Bro, Shelton Benjamin, honestly, like, this is what I mean. Shelton Benjamin looks fantastic, bro. Looks absolutely fantastic right now, man. Honestly. Love it. Love it.
I was even saying last week or so, I feel indifferent. Let me not say I'm disappointed. I feel indifferent that Bobby Lashley has come in now, because I enjoyed Shelton being like the front man for a couple of
years.
And just being that kind of unknown, dangerous entity. Like, I really enjoyed that. I guess now he'll take a bit of a backseat to Bobby Lashley as the front man. But yeah, I really just I think so far they've nailed the packaging of them. I think, not to discredit AEW, but it's obviously easier because we've seen this iteration of this before. The men involved would have known, right, WWE maybe didn't let us do XYZ. Can we come here now and do said XYZ sort of thing? So they can improve upon what they had immediately. And like I learned when I went to Philadelphia this year at Wale Mania. This is actually the first time the Hurt Syndicate are in front of a live audience. They were never in front of a live audience in the WWE.
Mad.
Pandemic. So, you know, they at Wale Mania, Cedric was there as well, and they all stood on stage, and that's when I think it was either MVP or Shelton said it. In fact, maybe Cedric said it. He said, "This is the first time we've stood as a 4 in front of a live audience."
Oh my days!
And my mind was blown. So to now see the reactions that they get and how the crowd are loving them in front of a live audience, this act for the first time, it's amazing. It's so good. What's your initial thoughts and how have you felt about how they've come in and been packaged together?
Honestly, man, I think for the 4 weeks, maybe it's been since we've gotten like the first presentation of the Hurt Syndicate, but it's been really good, man. I like how everyone kind of still has their individual kind of thing that they're doing. So like you've got Bobby Lashley who's come in. The theme song was cold. I can't lie, like the boom, 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 boom. I rated it like it was cold, innit? And he's kind of come in as this like because I think he's still yet to kind of get like he's not had a match yet. Obviously, I think he's kind of gotten into a fight with Swerve or whatever the case may be. But again, like saving his first match for pay-per-view makes Bobby Lashley look like a big deal. I remember this man in the 2020s was a WWE champion, carried the company through the pandemic. Like Bobby Lashley deserves this kind of presentation that he's got right now. For Shelton Benjamin, again, we've got someone who he's just been able to just come in and just do his thing. Like, and I feel like that's probably what Shelton wanted. He probably just wanted to be like, yo, I just want to get in the ring with the guys that you lot got, and let me just make some magic. Because again, Shelton's kind of made it abundantly clear that, like, you know, for him, while he's kind of at this age of his career, whatever, like he wants to just get in the ring with the best and he just wants to showcase what he's made of. And I'm so glad that like Tony Khan has kind of given him the chance to do that. And then what I like with MVP is, again, there's this like mob boss kind of look to him where like the whole thing with the card is amazing. Like if you get one of these cards, basically you got to make a choice. You're either with us or you're against us. So it kind of makes this whole thing of like, if you got an MVP card, you must be someone worth keeping an eye on. And in a sense, I think it makes the whole idea of like who's going to potentially join a lot more interesting rather than just like, you know, eyeing someone up in a backstage segment or like whatever the case may be. Giving someone a card, it kind of like puts this dilemma in front of them, like we're seeing with Max Caster and stuff like that, like where he's got the card but he's still not 100% on whether he wants to or not. And then again, there is this whole thing of like, cool, well, if you don't take the card, then basically you're going to get your ass whooped as a way to basically say you should have listened. So I like the presentation of the Hurt Syndicate. They come across like very much like a mob. Like, yo, we got the guy who does the thing. We got the guy who's basically like our last resort. And if Big Boss talks to you, bro, pay attention. So I've loved it, man. I've loved it so far. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it's been great. With Bobby Lashley, like you said, it kind of feels like a big deal if his first match is going to be Swerve Strickland at Full Gear. He doesn't do anything in the 2 Dynamites before Full Gear now. Yeah, that'll be really, really good. And for just the sake of the group and everything like that, I hope he beats Swerve. Like,
yeah, of course he needs to beat Swerve. 100%.
Yeah, for me, he needs to beat Swerve. So, yeah, that would be really good. Yeah, like I just feel like they're nailing it so far, and obviously the talk is, you know, are they finished in terms of recruitment? Is there anybody else that they want to recruit? Kervin says here in the chat, for me, the Hurt Syndicate need a female. It makes sense for Athena to join. Now, I see where he's going on the thought path of Athena, how she behaves and stuff like that. And she's been formidable. For Athena has been like, I don't want to say disrespected, but it's almost like she's just forgotten about to a degree on that Ring of Honor show, where she should be doing this particular act on Dynamite, and she might quite easily be the best thing on the show if she was doing this on Dynamite.
Yeah.
But there was a picture, I believe there was some type of convention over this past weekend in the States, wrestling comic convention or something like that. There's a picture that Queen Aminata took with the Hurt Syndicate.
Okay.
And then MVP must have, I think, he posted a comment under the picture saying, "Do you own a suit?" I think Queen Aminata is a nice touch because she is someone that I think AEW do have their eye on. They are invested in her.
Yeah.
And she kind of fits aesthetically as like an athlete looking person with I think she'll look great in a suit. And I don't mean this disrespectfully. I think she'll look better in a suit than Athena. Let me put it that way.
I hear what you're saying. I think it's just, again, I think it's the presentation, the kind of the look and feel. I get what you mean.
It's the way she carries herself as well. There's something kind of regal and well calculated, well measured about the way Queen Aminata carries herself. I think she would be a very interesting addition if she was to join. Of course, people have talked about guys joining. Leo Rush looks like he's throwing his hat in the ring, if you like. This Wednesday he's facing Swerve to kind of prove to the Hurt Syndicate that he should join. Obviously, he's got history with Lashley. The likes of Max Caster that you mentioned before have got a business card, and he's thinking about some things, I guess. Anyone else that you would like to see potentially join?
I'm not 100% on this individual, but just thinking about maybe killing two birds with one stone here potentially. I can't lie, put Ricochet in there.
Yeah, I think we said that on social media to each other, innit? Like 100%.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we literally went. I think we said this to each other, but you know what? I thought about Ricochet being in the Hurt Business when they were in WWE. Obviously, yes. I know there was that thing where it was like, I think Cedric turned on him to join the Hurt Business, right? But the thing is like we said again, Ricochet's always been a face, I think, for since he went to WWE and even now in AEW. I think he's always been a face. I don't think he's ever been a heel. But I'm quite curious to see what Ricochet would be like as a heel, because I was watching his interview with Chris Van Vliet. I don't know how you say his last name, but when he was kind of saying there about how all these haters are here and you lot basically can shut the F up and enjoy what you're watching. To me, I'm like, talk that talk, brother. Talk that talk, but do it on TV as well. Do it on TV as well, because for me, I feel like if he had the Hurt Business around him, it would actually potentially give him a chance to kind of tap into a side of his character that we're not going to see yet. So then we've got a guy who can do all the flips and do all that stuff as well, but also completely disrespectful to anyone and everyone that he fights. I don't know. I personally think Ricochet in the Hurt Business, Hurt Syndicate, would be a shout. Leo Rush is not a bad shout. I'm not fussed on Max Caster, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah,
I'll be real. I feel like he's got the capability to just turn heel on Anthony Bowens by himself. I don't think he needs the Hurt Syndicate thing to kind of do that. So for me, I feel like if I was most likely selling anyone, it would be Ricochet. Yeah, Ricochet.
Yeah,
that's my one.
I think Ricochet is a good shout. I think he's the best shout out of AEW options. I would love it for Will Hobbs. However, I just feel like Will Hobbs would be a bit too similar to Lashley.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, yeah, and I know Lashley's obviously a
veteran. If there was no Lashley, if Lashley didn't sign with AEW, generally, if you'd given me Shelton Benjamin, Ricochet, and Will Hobbs and MVP as Hurt Syndicate, bruv, would have been sold.
Yeah, I would have been easy. Yeah. So yeah, those two, Ricochet, my first choice, like you say. I will mention this because I mentioned this on a podcast last week on here. Montez Ford, his contract runs out later this year. And I would say this, for those that don't like bad language, I'm sorry, but it has to be said like this. If he has the bollocks,
the
cojones, then that's where he should find himself. However, I know he is tied at the hip to his wife, loves his wife very much. I can't see him leaving and kind of creating that separation between him and his missus to have a different schedule than to go over there. And it looks like maybe imminently something may happen for him on WWE program.
That is someone
that I feel like out of nowhere, he just goes silent. and he just turns up in AEW with the glasses, the suit, and everything. And he is basically, obviously, Bobby Lashley may still be the front man, but he is like the next up. This is the guy that we're gonna curate to become the next world champion, basically.
You know what, man? Like when it comes to Montez Ford, I think obviously like there was the whole thing a little while back where like I think a lot of people were kind of like saying he was kind of the breakout star of the Street Profits, all this kind of stuff and everything like that. But you know what? If he went to AEW, like I wouldn't be mad at it. And obviously, like you said, stuff to do with obviously, you know, his family life and everything like that would be a thing. But you know what? Like we've seen examples that people can be in two different companies, and you know, at least from what let's say we haven't seen, it seems like their relationships and their marriages and everything like that is fine, innit? But for me, it's like Montez Ford, that promo he cut on SmackDown. Like, you see when he was like, yo, if we don't win next week, like, it's done. To me, I was like, was that like a subtle hint of like, yo, if we don't win next week, like, then I guess we're done. As like whatever, innit?
I don't think they're splitting. I think it's more like we're about to raise hell. We're about to cause havoc. Don't get this done next week. I didn't necessarily see it as a split, but even so, if that happens to a heel turn, I'm here for it. That's what we need.
Like, it was very ambiguous. It's very, very ambiguous. But see, so this is why I feel like it's such a shame that the stars didn't align in WWE. Because for me, when Bobby Lashley was with the Street Profits, if they then had MVP, that would have been the elite quartet for me. That would have been like the Hurt Business reimagined. You don't even have to call it the Hurt Business, whatever it could be. But I think obviously, like a lot of people have said that like the problem sometimes with Montez Ford is like the goofiness, the comedic kind of like things that he tends to do sometimes. Like it kind of throws you off the image of him. But that promo he cut on SmackDown, I was like, brother, I believe in everything you're saying. And I think even Montez Ford believes in everything he was saying there as well, which is good. So for me, you bring that energy to AEW, bro, you will stand out. You would stand out above the rest. I feel like for me, yeah, the energy Montez Ford has is the energy I thought Ricochet would have.
Yeah.
That's what
I think we're getting there though with Ricochet. I do think we're getting there.
Yeah. I think we are getting there a little bit. For me, I feel like Montez Ford, if he left and went and came to AEW, and this man went to join the Hurt Syndicate, bruv, strap the TNT title on this man within the next 6 months of him joining that company, bro. And this is the thing as well. This will be the very telling thing: is how long will it take for the Hurt Syndicate to start getting championships in their group? That will be a big thing to see. How does Tony Khan view this group? And I think someone said this in the chat. They said, Tony Khan, do not mess this up, or something along the lines of that. He said, Tony Khan, don't drop the ball on this. For me, the Hurt Syndicate need to have belts within 6 months to a year. Not saying it has to be the AEW World Championship, but there needs to be some form of championships within that team in a while. But yeah, man, Montez Ford, can't lie, I'd be there for it. I'll 100% be there for it.
Mate, we got you know, you've moved us on nicely. We got to tune in on Friday to see what he meant by all of that. And because they're not going to win, they're not going to beat Motor City Machine Gun. So whatever he's threatening is going to happen. So it's now a case of tuning in on Friday night on SmackDown on the Blue brand, and exactly that, seeing what it is that happens. But again, let's move us along nicely in regard to the Blue brand about SmackDown. Like I said in the intro, man, the dysfunctional family, they are back together and look like they're ready to function inside War Games. As we saw, the Bloodline have reunited, all core members, active in-ring members, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns, and Sammy Uso are back working together, and look like they're ready to, you know, wage war on the rogue Bloodline. But has this been a rush? Has this been a rush of Bloodline? Like, have we had enough story to get to where we are today? Because I feel like I've been somewhat cheated in this story.
Yes.
I feel like as a fan, we probably had our ideas of how this story should play out. And obviously we get quite disgruntled when what we thought doesn't happen. So I don't think this has been awful or bad or anything like that since they've, how they've chosen to tell this story to this point. But I definitely feel like it's been rushed, and there's emotion and stuff that I think the crowd wanted that they have skipped past, because it's like they clocked, 30th of November, War Games, we need to get here quickly. We need to promote it as well, because we saw last time they never promoted a Bloodline match. They leaked the match for Crown Jewel before we had even seen the segment on SmackDown. Yeah. So yeah, what's your thoughts on this, bro? Do you think they're rushing this, or do you think this is being told at a good pace, or what?
I'm gonna offer a third one here. If part of me in some way, and this is like a 10%, feels like it's meant to be like this, like this is deliberate. And I'll tell you why. I recorded a video the other day, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, because like a lot of people have spoken about the fact that, Roman's energy around Jay and his energy with Jimmy and his energy with Sammy, and like kind of like how he was just like, oh, like, you might want to get back together, cool, whatever, cool, like whatever, yeet, cool, like that's what you want to hear, that's what you want to hear. Part of me is like, is Roman going through the process of grief, right? And I know like it sounds bonanza, like I'm making excuses, but hear me out, yeah? So like there's like 5 different stages of grief, right? The first one is denial. Now, me and you said this. Roman has not once addressed losing the title. He has not addressed the family situation, the falling apart of this whole family dynamic. He's not really addressed losing the Ula Fala. He's not really addressed any of this. His thing has just been more, yo, I want this back. I want my family back, blah, 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 blah. So it feels very much like Roman's just like, I'm just trying to do whatever I need to do to get back to the promised land without actually, and pun intended, acknowledging what's actually going on around him, right? So that's why when Jay was like, yo, I need you to see us as equals, blah, 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 blah. Roman went, yee. And then what happened? Jay came out and my mum was hating on him silently the whole time he came out in his entrance, right? And then even with the family dynamic on SmackDown just passed, like Jay was chatting to Roman and then Roman's looking at Jimmy like, well, you're going to let your brother talk to me like that? But then Jimmy's even like, well, like, cool, this is awkward, and just kind of essed out, right? And again, Roman's not apologized. Still to this point, Jay's asked for an apology. He's asked for an apology multiple times now. Sammy even said, I will come back when you say sorry. And Roman was like, basically, why do I need to say sorry? I kind of feel like there is this like denial of like what's really going on, like almost like he's trying to be ignorant, or he's trying to kind of like have these kind of like these lenses over his head of like, no, this is actually how the situation is, when really and truly it's not that way. And he needs to basically admit it to himself that like, this is not how it is. So for me, if that's how they're portraying it, then it makes sense to rush it, because it's like Roman's rushing it. Like, I don't want to talk all the semantics. I don't want to talk about all the deep stuff. I just want to get my boys back together in it, and let's just go do what we need to do. Do you get me? But in the case that's not happening, then very much so it's rushed. Long story short.
Yeah. I feel like there's just key, like I say, emotional story beats we should have got. I felt like even all now, where is the wise man Paul Heyman? When Jimmy was trying to tell maybe Roman that we need people and all that kind of stuff, which lasted for like a week, they needed to, like they were, continue to get beat down. And maybe if he's not taking it from Jimmy, he hears it from Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman's like, no, listen, you need help. You need to swallow your pride. You need to go back and get my man, Jey Uso. And Jay still fights the cause, and no, I'm not coming back. You done this to me, blah, 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 blah. I thought that maybe Roman should have even reached out to Sammy and said, look, Sammy, like, we had our differences, but I brought you in, blah, blah, blah. I need you to come back. And Sammy comes back, but Jay is still out there, living his best life, still Intercontinental Champion, because I think they took that off him far too quickly. And then once Sammy has realigned with Bloodline, he can kind of go at it with Jay a bit. Jay then loses the Intercontinental Championship as by the hands of the bad bloodline, and then that's his motivation, if anything, to rejoin the bloodline. And he should have joined them on the night at War Games. Like, the match doesn't start until everyone's in the ring, so you could have left it right to the end.
And could you imagine, like, and again, look at the crowd reaction they got in Saudi, and that's a whole other conversation as well. That Jey Uso low-key is a star. He is actually a star. But imagine like Survivor Series, right? And think about last year when Randy came back and they like delayed the whole thing of it happening. I was thinking in my head, yeah, like you would have had some kind of situation happen, and then when you hear the the crowd would have gone ballistic. Also, remember as well, even Sammy could have been the surprise one because it's Canada. If literally you could have had it like it was just the OG bloodline, and then like the crowd are just chanting Sammy, 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 and then boom, Sammy comes out. Same way it happened in Saudi as well, right? For me, it's a thing of I kind of feel like if we're looking at the timeline of when Roman came back, I feel like from the moment he came back, it should have been a thing of I'm probably going to need to bring the guys in to come and help me do this. I feel like that should have been his mindset from the beginning, because again, Roman was all about family. He was all about bringing the family like together, uplifting the family together. So for me, how I always wanted to see it was like him coming to Raw and basically being like to Jay, yo, Jay, I need you, thinking, yeah, it'll be the same as always. And Jay's like, no. Like, do you not see I've got gold around my waist? Like, I've got responsibilities. I've got a due diligence to this brand as main event Jey Uso. So you go do your thing, and I'm going to stay here and I'm going to go do my thing. That's how I kind of saw this going further down the road. Part of me thinks, yeah, as we've just been talking about this, when you're saying like Roman's going to need to like kind of come to like terms with himself, do not be surprised if there is another tribal court situation and this time the person getting prosecuted is Roman Reigns. Do not get it twisted.
That'll be great.
I'm telling you now, that scene would be cinema, yeah. When you know them crocodile tears he was doing all them years ago, where you'll see a Roman sit there and like deeping, oh crap, like, was I really doing this? Oh man. Oh my gosh. What? Bruv. I feel like the cinematic things are not over yet. I just hope that after Survivor Series we slow things down, because I think if we endanger Roman and Rock potentially if we speed things up too much. Because what you don't want to have is obviously Rock's not going to like be competing every week. Rock probably might not even show up to Raw or SmackDown every week or whatever the case may be. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to speed it up to the point that when there's weeks where Roman isn't there or Rock isn't there, like it just feels too filler and it feels like there's gaps. What you want is you want it to feel again like for me, the build to WrestleMania 40 between Cody, Rock, and Roman felt really good. It felt like we were getting a very solid build up to that point. That's how it needs to be for Rock and Roman, if that's obviously the confirmed WrestleMania main event they're going for.
Yeah. I mean, we're still on course. The story's still being told. Even with Jay joining before Sammy did in the end, I thought maybe we're going to leave Sammy to be that last person that needs to be considered right at the 11th hour. But they've done it now, and we've still got 2 weeks, 3 weeks-ish till War Games. So we are where we are. Obviously, I expect good Bloodline to get the win in War Games. I think that's going to be the next sighting of The Rock. When they're all there together, holding up arms and all of that kind of stuff, then we're going to see The Rock again to end that show.
I feel like it's going to be a thing of like Roman's going to have like, you know, won or got the pin or whatever. And as he's gone to go put the Ula Fala on, you're just going to get it. If you smell
You've booked it. Brilliant. No. That's how it should run.
Give me the pen. Give me the pen.
That's how it should run. Because I was even thinking, although, yeah, I still think The Rock is going to come out. What is going to bring him out? Like when people were saying that Cody was going to be part of their team, I thought, okay, that's going to bring him out. But yeah, that could be something, him trying to lay claim to that. He's beaten Solo. Yeah, I think that works. Just before we finish up here, guys, get your comments and your questions and stuff in the chat. We'll kind of come to them shortly. The Rock has to, you know, there's still quote unquote no telling if he's going to be involved at WrestleMania and all of this kind of stuff, as they've been saying. But for sure they are going to load up that first ever Raw on Netflix. The whole world is going to be on that show.
Oh, 100%.
So
100%.
for me, that's the Rock. That's the Rock's road to WrestleMania starting in effect. Like I think this is where he begins from here.
I generally think from the Raw that we get on Netflix, the first Raw, there needs to be a few people's road to WrestleMania set off from the jump. The Rock is one of them. John Cena is one of them.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is one of them. And I would probably say CM Punk. I'd say them four in particular, just because they've lived on the Netflix platform outside of wrestling. Obviously, all of these lot have been in movies, or CM Punk is in that show Heels, that I think is on Netflix in the US.
Yeah.
So because all of them have kind of lived on the platform already, for me, it should feel like a thing of like, oh, right, so these lot actually wrestle. Like if you've never watched wrestling, right, you want to watch it and go, bro, like, mad, that like they're coming up to the show WrestleMania, looks like a big deal, blah, 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 all these different kinds of things. I feel like that's what that first one needs to be. And obviously, I think they've said it as well, that on Netflix, they want to see Cody, they want to see Rock, they want to see Roman, they want to see all these lot. Now, peak for Gunther, Seth, Drew, all these other names that are on Raw weekly and, you know, just getting lost in the shuffle. But I think when it comes down to the Netflix era, man, it's going to be very interesting road to WrestleMania. And you got to think again, this is their first Netflix WrestleMania. They're going to have to go all out because they're going to need to prove to Netflix, like, our biggest show is going to make you revenue, is going to make you this, is going to make you that. It's going to get more people to subscribe to Netflix. It's going to get people to change their subscription plan from the one without ads to the one with ads to the ones without. That's what this first WrestleMania needs to show them. Because remember, if this is a 5-year deal, billions of dollars, if they want that renewal, they need to show within the first year, yo, we are going to make you the money that you think you're going to make, and we're going to make you more.
Yeah, they've parted, Netflix that is, they've parted with $5 billion. So yeah, WWE will put in the effort, especially that first episode, to really show, you know, and they'll bring back don't be surprised if Undertaker's on the show, just to kind of, you know, let people know. It's just to let people know this is happening over here. You know, all of these lapsed fans are going to tune in. And like you said, for those key names, this is their beginning. There was even a report last week that Becky Lynch and WWE are in talks about a contract and stuff like that.
That is a great way to bring her back, by the way.
Don't be surprised if she comes back first episode on Netflix too. So there's a lot happening. Just to get to some of you guys questions, and thank you for those that have watched us live for the past hour. Usually have like a questions thread on Instagram, that's WrestleManiac UK, so make sure you're following there to leave any questions, hot takes and stuff like that, or on the community posts or in the live chat. So we're going to get to them, and we'll just kind of pick up a few that we've just seen. I saw a good one just as we were kind of wrapping up the Bloodline conversation by Kervin. Kervin said not this one, it was this one, sorry, Kervin. Yeah, but the problem about that, and this is when we were talking about the Hurt Syndicate becoming like champions in the next 6 months. He said, yeah, but the problem about that was a lot of people going to say that Tony Khan is bringing in ex-WWE talents over pushing the original AEW talent, which of course people will say. However, it's one of them ones where if you are a draw, if you're doing the numbers, when they look at it and they feel like the act is deserving of carrying a championship, or it makes sense for their trajectory or story, then we've got to do it, I'm afraid. Like, it's as simple as that.
Like, I think as well, the one thing you want to do is, if you're bringing in an ex-WWE talent, I feel like the first thing you want to do as the alternative company is you want to show them in a different way that they weren't being shown in WWE, because again, that's how you capture that attention. And then those fans that were fans of them in WWE, they'll look over in AEW now and go, oh wait, yo, they look different there, or oh yo, the presentation seems so much better there, blah 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 blah. Because again, remember, it's still a business to them, and so you got to think that, like, you know, the headlines they'll kind of make amongst the wrestling community of this person has left WWE to go to AEW. You've got to capitalize on all of that, and so unfortunately, yes, like AEW talent might get pushed to the wayside, but I think this is where you need that good duality and that good balance of being able to kind of like mix your AW best talent with these ex-WWE guys that are coming in, because again, this is where you get to show them differently. This is where both sides get to be shown differently, by the way. Look at Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. Like, this is one of the perfect examples of, like, yeah, you know, AW guys were kind of pushed to the wayside when it came to that Grand Slam match, but like when the bell rang, the crowd was on fire and the match hadn't even started yet. Like, that's what I mean about, you got to capitalize on that heat that comes with making decisions like these, I guess. So yeah,
that's exactly it, man. That's exactly it. In regard to your question around if they had like a women's pay-per-view, what would be the main event? DGS22 says, give me Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley.
Yo,
that's a great
it's
match.
an interesting one because obviously they've had history before in NXT UK.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, them two faced off to determine who was going to be the first ever women's UK champion. I'm pretty sure it was
was it Rhea Ripley that beat Toni Storm? I think Toni Storm won it first. Yeah. Rhea Ripley beat Toni Storm. Yeah.
Yes. Wait. How I remember it was, I thought it was Toni Storm won the Mae Young Women's Classic, and then Rhea Ripley and her fought for the NXT UK title to determine who's the first ever, and then Rhea won. And then I thought Toni won after that.
No, Rhea beat Shayna Baszler for the NXT. Oh, you talking about the
NXT UK championship? Yeah,
maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good, interesting layer to add to kind of their rivalry as well. Like the first ever all women's pay per view, you've kind of got this something that's, you got a match here that's kind of got a lot of history to it. So yeah, no, it could be a bad shout. Would be a bad shout.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. We'll end on this one. Kervin says The Rock should be referee for the War Games match. I think you got to leave him till the end. That's when the impact is made. Like, leave him till the end.
The one, do you know what I would want if we're rolling with this with Rock refereeing? I want like Roman to hit his spear on Solo, and I want The Rock to grab a microphone, and I want him to go 1, 2. It doesn't matter if The Rock has to 3. I swear on my life, I would lose my mind.
Oh gosh,
that is one of my favorite Rock moments in history. If this man did it again, yeah, I can't lie, I would love it. I'd actually love it.
No, that would be funny. That would be jokes.
Oh my days. Yeah, man.
But yeah, that is another episode in the books. We hope everyone enjoyed. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe here at youtube.com/WrestleManiac UK. Like I said earlier, you can get the podcast version on all your podcast platforms. It'll be available to you probably immediately once we're all done and wrapped up here. Gabe, man, let the people know where they can find you.
Graps with Gabe, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. That's me.
Graps with Gabe, dropping daily content on the TikTok, on the Instagram.
Nearly daily. Don't say daily, because then if I don't drop tomorrow, yeah, they'll be like, what happened to daily?
They'll stone me.
Near daily.
It's putting in the work, man. It's putting in the work. So yeah, you guys make sure you're following along. Of course, for all videos, live streams, stuff like that, you can get that WrestleManiac UK on YouTube. Check out a video that I done last week, why Kevin Owens should become WWE champion. I think that's a good one. YouTube algorithm ain't pushing it. You people go and watch it. It's a good video, trust me. So yeah, something a bit left field, but something that I think with what we're seeing on TV should happen. But yeah, man, we will probably be back later on this week for another episode. I would say hit the notification bell so you know when we're going live, and stay tuned on all our social media platforms. And we'll see you later on this week. WrestleManiac UK signing out. and we'll see you soon.
Peace.